Hello, 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 and welcome to this live session. Hopefully you are an international medical student or international medical graduate, because today I will be speaking and sharing with you about the new update from the 2024 MyERAS application, or this is for the 2024 MyERAS application. So this this session is beneficial for anyone who is a student of a foreign medical school, whether you are a US person, meaning you're a United States person that went to a foreign medical school, or you are a graduate of a foreign medical school and you're currently in the United States or outside of the United States. This session is going to be helpful for you. So what I'll be sharing about today is all the new updates that the AAMC, American Association of Medical Colleges, I believe, put out for students and residents. It's on their website. I'm looking at it right now, students-residents.aamc.org. That's the source of this information that I will be sharing with you today. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Dr. Drlum. I am a previous IMG from Cameroon. I had all the red flags in the world, a low step 1 score, needed a visa for sponsorship for throughout my stay in the United States, including residency. Did not have, the best experience, went to Caribbean medical school, which is a foreign medical school. So I had all these red flags, right, that we often worry about. Being a woman, deferring my life to a later time in order to pursue residency, right? So I wouldn't belabor the point, but I am just like you. I am currently an emergency medicine physician, board eligible, passed my written boards recently. And in my past, I did work as a hospitalist and also as a family medicine physician. And I do have experience as a prior chief resident and with coaching international medical students and graduates, specifically around how they can leverage what they have as students, make themselves competitive when compared to the American medical students and graduates, and really sort of up-level their application, right? So that they can become more competitive for residency. So more importantly, today, while I was minding my own business, I got a message from one of my prior students. I'll put it on here on the screen. So this is Dr. Laide. Laide is currently a PGY1 in family medicine in the South. I think she's in Mississippi or Alabama, one of those states. Don't quote me wrong. And if Laide, if you're listening to this or watching this, correct me. And she sent me this notification from this other physician's page, Zan Mansurum, I can't say the name right. But this person had posted ERAS changes for 2023, 2024. And so when she saw this, she sent me this message and she said, all the things you taught us to do with the current version. And Laide is already a PGY1, okay? Meaning the changes that they're making now, she's saying, I taught them to do this when she was applying, which was not 2023 or 2022, would have been 2021 when she applied. And so just to share with you that what I teach in the program actually works. And this is a PGY1 resident telling me, wow, these changes they're making, you had started telling us these things in 2021. Because I'm not saying that because I'm special, but what I'm saying is when you do this for so many years, you gain insight as to what really matters, especially when you look at it from both sides of the coin. As a prior student, and then as a resident, and then as a chief resident, and then as an attending who has actually worked with US students, I could see things a little bit differently. And so I want to share my perspective with reading this document, which is from the AAMC today. I want to share with you what I think that they're asking for. The opinions in this video are 100% mine and mine alone. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment box below, or you can, I think, use the questions box so that we can make sure that we address them at the end of this session. However, everything I share is based on my experience, my expertise, and my thoughts and opinions. So don't take it for a grain of salt if you don't care for it. But if you continue to watch this video, I want you to pay close attention because what I'm sharing with you is valuable. It will help you, because I have my prior student here whose information I'm sharing telling you She's a PGY1 now, and she's telling you everything that you taught us in the course when she was applying. This 2021. All right. So that being said, we'll unplug the IMG Roadmap course right there. By the way, it will be coming back in April of 2023. So this year, this April, the course is coming back. If you're interested, you can DM me or send me an email at admin@imgroadmap.com, or we'll share the link with you if you're interested in that information to sign up for our course. Okay. You'll get a wait list, actually, because our doors are opening. We'll start in April, but our doors open in March. Okay, so what's new with the application, which is why you're here? The current ERAS application, as it stands right now, usually has an undefined number of experiences. What does that mean? When you go to apply into MyERAS right now, it is form fields that you have to type in information into, right? The way that it stands right now is the way that it stands right now is it's limitless. You can put 20, 40 experiences if you want. Oftentimes in my program, I've always told students, select your experiences, put experiences that matter to the specialty you're applying into, because you don't want to inundate your application with 100 experiences that are useless, right? So the current ERAS application has an undefined number of experiences. Moving forward, meaning those that are applying this September, they will be limited to up to 10 experiences. What that means is you will no longer be able to put in more than 10 experiences, at least by looking at this. And it's important to realize that one of the things that I noticed is that they prepared this information based on research from the supplemental ERAS application. As you know, certain specialties over the last 2 years had prepared the supplemental ERAS application. I believe some specialties that excluded that were like family medicine, but internal medicine was really big on the supplemental. I believe, I can't think of all of them right now, but it'll come back to me. But what I'm saying is, this information, these new recommendations that they're making appear to have come out of research that they have gathered from performing the supplemental application over the last few years. So one of the things that stood out to me was that they're now saying there's going to be a limit to the number of experiences. So what does that mean for you? What that means for you is, as you are going through your clinical rotations, your electives, your sub-Is, your observerships, try to tailor your experiences to what matters the most. What I mean by that is, if you're applying to specialty A, neurology, if you can tailor those experiences to suit neurology, that will be best, because now you have a limited number of experiences, so you don't need to go around gathering all these electives, rotations that don't matter. If you can show your commitment to neurology, as an example, by aligning your research work, aligning your electives, your clinicals, your rotations in the Department of Neurology, that will be beneficial for you. Now, other ancillary departments that you can use would be like neurosciences, neurosurgical services. So you can infuse other closely related experiences. Now remember, the point of the experience is not about just putting it in an ERAS application. It should be an experience that will offer you an understanding of the specialty, for one, but two, when you display it on your ERAS application, the program that reviews it wants to see if your experience aligns with what they're looking for. And they're not looking for your experience alone, they're also looking for what you gained from that experience, because it tells them the kind of learner, kind of student, kind of resident that you would be, okay? Are you tracking with me? If you're tracking with me, please let me know in the chat, I got it, or did you not get it? The first thing that they're saying will change is they're moving from an undefined number of experiences to up to 10 experiences. The second thing is that enables applicants to self-select their top 3 most meaningful experiences out of the 10. So you'll have up to 10 experiences that you can put, and then they want you to be able to allocate which one of these were meaningful. Now, if you look at the word meaningful, right? Let me just pull that into Google right now. Meaningful means to have serious, important, or useful quality or purpose. So if you're applying into pediatrics, wouldn't it make sense that a meaningful experience for you would be something that has serious, important, useful quality or purpose? Right? That would be it would perfectly align with that, right? So what examples can we use for that? Working at a children's hospital, volunteering in a children's hospital, or let's take it to sports, playing sports or being a coach for adolescents, right? Or offering first aid services at children's games, right? Whatever those games may be. Even your work at Disney, for example, working with kids. If you have an experience working at Disney for 5, 6, 7 years, then that could be meaningful because you've been exposed to kids for a long time, right? Meaningful experiences sometimes will have to communicate something that is not directly expressed. What do I mean by that? You putting an experience on your application would have to communicate a lesson that you learned that nobody else can express about your character, your virtues, your strengths, your understanding of the specialty. You would have to extrapolate from your past experiences and reformulate that in a string of words that communicate how meaningful that experience was for you, or what that experience meant for you. The third thing is collect more descriptive information about experience. So they will be collecting more information about each experience, which is position, organization, time frame, location, and frequency of participation. Right now, I think the way that it is they collect very limited information. They ask you for your position, where you worked, the time frame, and the location. Sometimes, and there's a box for hours, and it's usually like 40 per week or something like that. I believe a lot of people maybe have not been truthful with this portion of things, or they've not been as expressive in telling programs what those experiences really entailed, how much time they spent in it, or what the location was, what the frequency of their presence in that experience was, and such, right? And so that could look like, if you did an experience where you only showed up once a week, obviously the impact is different from an experience where you show up quarterly, so 4 times a year, right? An experience where you show up 4 times a year, the frequency is fairly low to where it may not be as descriptive or meaningful to a program that's reviewing your application packet. So what they're going to do this season is they're going to change from just that limited, vague, open description of each of these 10 experiences that you're going to pick. And they're going to want to collect more detail-oriented information that may include your frequency of participation, the position that you were in, the organization, the time frame, and the geographic location. So the top first 3 things that I've just mentioned, okay, just to give you an overview, is the first big change is they're limiting it to up to 10 experiences. So this is on MyERAS application, which is the form that you fill out when you're applying into residency. It sounds like we will no longer be able to offer a limitless number of experiences. They're limiting it to up to 10. The second thing is they'll allow applicants to be able to select 3 top experiences out of those 10 experiences. The third thing is they're going to collect more descriptive information about each experience. I think what really stands out here is the frequency of participation is going to be required of you. And beyond just like position, organization, time frame, and location, which are present on prior applications, they want to know more about how often you were at that experience. So other things that they mention that they will be changing or updating this season is they're allowing for applicants to better define the experience type. So this is particularly because it's going to help programs to easily identify and be able to review specific experiences that align with their mission. So what they're doing is they're trying to make sure that you find a position in residency at a location that is most favorable for you. And so at the same token, the programs are looking for a specific sort of an avatar. They have like who they like or who they want. And so they're helping programs to be able to identify that avatar when they are reviewing applications. And by doing so, it will be required of you as the applicant to better define your work. So whether it's volunteer work, professional work, you know, being a part of an organization or having a hobby, they would want you to be able to better extrapolate and explain and expand on that, okay? Because that would help programs to identify how you as an applicant will align with their mission as a program. Another thing that they're mentioning on here is they will allow, so offers additional multiple entry questions to capture mission focused characteristics of each experience. So really what that means is you will be able to describe a little bit more of the characteristics of that experience. So if it was in a rural area, urban area, suburban area, and it helps applicants also get a holistic review of your application and your experience that you're bringing with you into the program. They mentioned that they'll include short descriptions focused on critical information for programs such as roles, responsibilities, and context for all experiences entries. So really, they're trying to make it easier for programs to select applicants, is what it sounds like. And they're trying to make sure that you as an applicant can get connected with the right program at the right place, and, you know, thrive in your career. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to be in a program where you're not able to achieve your goals that you have and that you're not able to thrive as a resident. So with you describing yourself and you describing your experiences, they will be able to extrapolate more detailed information about you. So the long of the short of all of everything I've said today is it is imperative that you are introspective enough to identify the key characteristics that you are bringing into a program. And then subsequently, you will communicate that in your application as well. Now, what MyERAS has done for you here, or will be doing for us here, moving into the 2023 application cycle to lead into a match in 2024, they are going to be very specific about the information that is pertinent. As you know, in medicine, when we ask for a differential diagnosis, we're always seeking pertinent information. And so they've gathered research from the data that they've collected based on supplemental applications over the last year and they're put year and the year prior, and they put that together to come up with how they can improve the experiences section of MyERAS. And it's surprising that Dr. Laide sent me that screenshot today saying, this is something you've already been teaching us in the program, because that is really what makes you sell yourself as an applicant to a program, is when you can almost speak in the language that they want to read, and thus they can identify you as someone that they want to train. Why? Because you meet their avatar for their ideal resident in their program. So there is so much more information that the AAMC will put out for this change. I'm sure about it. They have their website, which I listed before. It's aamc.org. Go on there and review that information as well. You can send them emails, ask questions and whatnot. I'm here to synthesize the information and share my opinion on what I think will be beneficial for you as an applicant, so that you can use that information to make yourself even more competitive when it comes your turn to apply. And so I want you to stay connected with me, ask some questions. Let me see if there are any questions and we can take them right now. So question from Stories. No, that's not the right one. So any questions before we leave the room? So key points, summary. They're limiting experiences to up to 10 experiences. They're allowing you to highlight three of those 10. They'll allow you to self-select the meaningful ones, the top 3 meaningful ones. They're going to collect more specific data on your participation on each of these experiences that you choose to list. And they're going to allow for programs to get a holistic review of your application, because it's going to be more detail oriented. Now, however, what you can start doing right now is being more selective about where you go. So this is not the time to just take another rotation, take another observership, take another experience because you want to have a long CV. It turns out a long CV is not going to equate a competitive CV. It has never equated a competitive CV. It will never equate a competitive CV. So given a long CV doesn't really help you in any form or fashion to start. And now they're streamlining it to where you can't list 20 experiences that are just useless. They want meaningful experiences, meaning experiences that actually show a transformation, that have a serious, important, useful quality or purpose in your life or in your career as a future pediatrician or a future family physician or a future surgeon or a future OBGYN, okay? Your experiences will have to communicate something that is not directly expressed, because that way when programs are reviewing it, your language will communicate to them to be able to identify if you are the ideal candidate, that avatar candidate that they're looking for. So this is a time to ask yourself, that rotation that I plan on doing this summer, is it going to be meaningful for me? Okay, that's the first question. Is it going to be meaningful for my application? That research experience, am I just doing it because I think I need to check off a box? Or am I doing it because it will be applicable and important for me? Those are key questions. So we have a question from Amara. Can you give examples of experiences that are useful for IM residency? So IM is a very broad specialty, meaning you're managing adults in the inpatient setting, in an outpatient setting, and you have several subspecialties in the discipline of internal medicine. So you can be a cardiologist, you can be a rheumatologist after IM, you could be a gastroenterologist, whatever the case may be, infectious diseases. Those are all opportunities that are available in internal medicine. So a meaningful experience for internal medicine, in my opinion, this is my opinion, would be a clinical experience that involves you working with patients that visit an internal medicine clinic, or an experience that involves you working in a hospital setting where you're seeing patients under an internal medicine service, or an experience in any of these internal medicine subspecialties that encompass either a clinical or hospital setting. Now, another meaningful experience could be global health work, mission work, where you took care of adults in a rural area, underserved area, or in an area where there weren't a lot of opportunities for adult patients. Another meaningful experience could be serving on a committee or in a community group that was geared towards maybe preventative measures in the community, whatever that could be. So you served on a clinic, in a heart failure clinic, or a community group that educated diabetics on finger sticks and, you know, checking their feet at home and whatnot, okay, or glucose control. You could also do an experience in research, right, where you're facilitating the research work of another physician or another researcher who is working directly on impacting any of the disease conditions that can be potentially seen in an internal medicine clinic, hospital, or research setting. So those are just some examples, and the list can go on and on and on. Amira, can you tell me in the comments if that was helpful for you? All right, next question is from Chica. So Chica, listen, and I want you to tell me in the comments if this is helpful for you or if you have any follow-ups. So Chica says, could you please give examples of meaningful experiences tailored to OBGYN? So before you want to think of a meaningful experience tailored to a specialty, remember that the meaningfulness is to you. The definition of meaningful experiences means this experience had serious, important, useful quality or purpose to you in light of your interest in the specialty. So the experiences have to mesh together. I say this, I tell this story all the time. When I applied into residency, I applied to 2 specialties, right? But I did all my rotations at a family medicine hospital, meaning they had a family medicine residency as the only residency in that hospital. And as such, they were big on training family physicians. And so when I did my application, all my core rotations had that location on there. That location is known like in the country for having a family medicine residency. They had no other residency programs at that same location. So when I applied to 50% IM, 50% FM. I got 0 IM interviews. And when I look back at my application when I became a chief resident, one of the things that I noticed was my application was heavy on family medicine because all the experiences that I could obtain were primarily within a hospital that only trains family physicians for residency. And so every supervisor that I had on there, every rotation, the name of the hospital, everything was screaming family medicine, perfect candidate for family medicine. So when that application was reviewed by family programs, they loved it. But I guess that when it was reviewed by internal medicine programs, they didn't like it because it was not as heavy on internal medicine experiences as maybe some other applicants were. So by virtue, those other applicants were more competitive for internal medicine than I was for internal medicine. However, in your case, Chica, asking the question of what experiences are meaningful for OBGYN, I want you to keep that story in the back of your head. Because every experience will be meaningful for you if you create a lesson out of it. But beyond that, the geographic location of that experience is going to be important. The clinical setting of that experience is going to be important. The work that you are doing on a day in, day out is going to be important. So all those things should be considered. So I just don't want you to leave this live today thinking, she said I should do this, I'm going to just go do it. She said I should do this, I'm going to go do it. That's not the point. However, if you're looking for things that could, make sense in the OB world, that would obviously involve delivering babies, being in a prenatal clinic. So whether that's a clinical rotation in a prenatal clinic or a work experience in a clinical setting, working or doing any kind of work in the community as a volunteer in OBGYN or maybe with prenatal care, prenatal health, okay? OB also has several specialties. So if you're working with a community group, maybe in a fertility clinic, or you're working in a maternal fetal medicine clinic, or you're working with doing any kind of research work in gyn-onc, or you're doing any kind of work along the lines of you did some awareness, community awareness, you did a mission trip where you guys delivered tons of babies in a low resource area, you did some preeclampsia training, or you did some kind of nursing work in that department, that would also be pertinent. You did any kind of research work that answered a question that is important for OBGYN care on a day-to-day. These are just some arbitrary examples that I can think of. If you're looking for things to, sort of start implementing in your life, okay? I hope that was helpful. So Naya says, how about volunteer? So I would limit my volunteer experiences, again, to experiences that, one, will speak to my commitment to the specialty, right? So it wouldn't make sense to just volunteer because you want to volunteer. Yeah, if you want to be a nice person, go ahead and do it, volunteer anywhere. But if you're doing it as far as building up a resume goes, then you want to volunteer in an area that shows commitment to your specialty of interest. So if you're interested in general surgery, well, if you're volunteering at the American College of Surgeons, or you volunteer at, a local outpatient surgery department, or you volunteer to go serve on a mission trip that was taking care of cleft lips and palates in Ecuador or somewhere, yeah, those will be meaningful volunteer experiences for a future surgeon, right? Maybe what will not be meaningful is that they volunteered at the local community center, just, helping people, I don't know, get coats, right? Yeah, that's a good initiative to do for your community. It's a coat drive, but how does that make you a better surgeon would be the question. So you can see how the experiences I listed speak to your commitment to the specialty, but also show your traits as someone interested in that specialty, okay? All right, next question. Does advocating for PCOS support group on social media and actively helping out with women PCOS on the mental support for those women, can that be considered a meaningful experience in psychiatry? I think it could be, because if you're doing patient education, mental health oriented patient education for women with PCOS, that would make sense. That's how I would word that, and that's what I will be gearing for. How important is clinical observerships? Great question. I think the clinical observership is just not a matter of doing it to check off a box. If you're doing it for that purpose, you're wasting your time and money. But if you're doing a clinical observership to improve your ability to network with physicians, programs, residents, other colleagues, gain research experience, if you're using your clinical observership to learn about the US system so that you have talking points, whether it's for your personal statement, or it's for getting a letter of recommendation, or it is for showing programs that you have some understanding of the US medical system, then yes, a clinical observership is highly important for IMGs. So let's see here. Can you give some arbitrary examples for emergency medicine? Arbitrary examples for emergency medicine for meaningful experiences would be working for the blood bank, or volunteering for the Red Cross, or doing any kind of wilderness medicine, or you were like the physician for the Boston Marathon, or you assisted the first aid booth at a marathon, or you do that every year because maybe you're a runner, right? Or you have been to some low resource settings, volunteer mission trips, things like that always go well. Obviously working in the emergency room, whether it's as a tech, whether it's working as a nurse in the emergency room, as an MA in the emergency room, those things can definitely speak to your commitment and understanding of the emergency room. But more importantly, your rotation in the ER is going to trump everything. And then your standardized letter of evaluation from an emergency medicine director will be the end all be all. So we'll take two more questions. Let's see here. We have, someone says, although I did 3 IM rotations, what if none of those 3 places actually had an IM residency? If they did not have an IM residency, I guess the limitation is they've already happened. So what you could do is try to extrapolate the good that you can get from it. You can still get an LOR from your attendings there. You can still, you'll still have your grades for your core rotations there, which is great. However, you may not be able to get like a program director LOR because there was not a program director there, but it doesn't mean that you can apply for a sub-internship or an acting internship where there is a residency program and still get that kind of, 1 level up LOR from a PD. Belly says, I volunteer in children's cleft lip and palate as well as orthopedic mission because I want to support my community as well as create, and I think she's still typing. Yeah, that's great. I mean, you can use that. You can volunteer work. Honestly, it should be because you want to help people, right? But for the purpose of your application, you want to tailor it to where it's just not only helping people, but you can also use it, leverage it for your own benefit by showing that you're interested in a surgical specialty or a pediatric specialty. So yes, it will be applicable for peds, ENT, plastics, surgery as a general specialty as well. All right, so that brings me to the end of this. I will have this video on my YouTube page. If you're interested, you'll find the replay on YouTube. And yeah, I cannot wait to have more comments so that I can answer them. You can leave a comment down below. And if you are interested in the learning more about my coaching program for IMGs, I want to invite you to sign up to be notified when we start. We start in April of 2023. I will put that in the comments. The sign up link is in the comments. In my program, we go into detail, okay? And when I mean detail of all these types of issues. You get all your questions answered as well inside of my program. We have live coaching, in-person coaching. I have Nicole, who's on here, who is a member of my current program right now. She can tell you all about that. Someone says I missed a question. Where is the question? So I have extensive tutoring experience and I've served also in capacities where I helped organize conferences. Since it's not exactly clinical, how can I tie that in? I think you can tie that in an administrative capacity, because what you have is you have teaching experience and you have administrative experience, which is great for any specialty anyways. So you have teaching experience in light of being a tutor, and then you also have administrative experience in light of organization. And so that's important because you have physicians who become medical directors need skills in organizations. Physicians who become CMOs, chief medical officers, need skills in organization. Physicians who become administrators need skill in organization. So you can definitely tie your work experience as a tutor, as an academic experience, a teaching experience, so you understand teaching methods, you understand disciplines, you understand learning, psychology and all that. And then second, your experiences as an organizer is also beneficial because you have administrative experience. Maybe you're skilled in like Excel and some crazy stuff that maybe we don't think about on a day-to-day. So I think that that's one way you can leverage that. Let's see here. If there are any other questions, please feel free to send me a direct message. I'm putting my link down here if you're interested in signing up for the waitlist for my program that starts in April of 2023. We'll keep you informed by email once you sign up there. Make sure that you can receive my email. Remove me from your spam folder so that I can actually deliver you quality information. I do not spam you, trust. So, yep, go ahead and sign up, and I will see you guys in my next video.